been sitting talking to the stars a lot lately. Mom always told me not to use the word maybe.
Peace, welcome to another Active in Your Dreams podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Jackson, and today I'm sitting down with Nick Barada, currently on divorce court.
Yes,
Nick,
sir.
how are you?
I'm well, man. Thanks for having me. Well, before we even get into this, I need to just let you know I appreciate what you're doing. This is all a great thing you guys got here, man. I got to shout out my boy Marcus one time.
Marcus, what's up, man?
Marcus, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
And, looking forward to chatting. What's going on?
So, you've been tremendously active in your dreams.
Yes, sir.
But what we talked about pre-interview was a lot of people just think everything that's happening for you right now is happening overnight.
Yeah.
And it hasn't.
Yeah.
Talk on that.
Yeah, especially since divorce court and the show kind of started, a few months back, I'm getting a lot of messages, and it's just kind of, you could tell these people think like I just landed this gig and, kind of just fell into my lap. And, it's been 8+ years since I really got, since I've been working and shaking hands and putting the time in. It didn't just happen overnight. It's been a long time, and I'm happy and appreciative that things are finally starting to click. But there's a lot of ups and downs. It's a long road, and I still got a long way to go. But yeah, there is definitely that misconception there, and I think social media, does have a big, part of why, because it's a highlight reel. People see you, living it up, on set or running around and traveling, but they don't see a lot of the work that and the time, that takes place behind the scenes.
So before any of this was even in your mind, you were a young kid in elementary school, and they said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And you said Brad Pitt.
Why didn't I say Brad Pitt? I'd love to be Brad Pitt, especially in Troy. That's my movie right there. No, but it was third grade, and we had a book report, and it was simple. The question was just, what do you want to be when you grow up and why? And it's funny, I went home and I cut out, a bunch of pictures of Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, Will Smith, a lot of actors that I still look up to this day. And, in the report, it's just, saying I want to be an actor, make people laugh and entertain, and go to acting school and live that dream. And not to say I'm Will Smith or any of those guys yet, hey, we'll see what happens, right? But I'm thankful and happy that I'm in the industry, right, and I'm doing something right. So it's just funny to look back and see that book report and kind of think back to that little kid, and it's kind of a warm feeling you get.
You were a standout high school basketball player.
Some say.
Hey, unfortunately, you beat our high school team a couple of times.
Man, we used to battle it out, though. Let me tell you. The glory days.
Absolutely. What did sports teach you about staying active in your dream through and through the ups and downs? What did it teach you?
That's a good question. My experience, growing up and playing basketball was like no other. Those guys were my brothers and still are to this day. And you learned a lot about teamwork, about consistency, about work ethic. We went to battle. It's funny, now years later you think back, and some people don't even understand. You and I get it, but
they have no clue.
They have no clue. But back then that was everything, right? Yeah. And going to battle every night, especially with your brothers, and you learn a lot about yourself and about, like I said, work ethic and being a teammate, and just striving to be the best you could be. A lot of the things I learned at that age and during those experiences still stick with me to this day.
You've been very confident throughout this whole process. We were talking again beforehand, and you said throughout this whole time, it's been 8 years since you started.
At least.
You walked into Hofstra, where you were studying journalism. You told one of your teachers, "I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to be."
Right.
Talk to me.
Yeah, it was funny. I came in late, right? So this professor put me on the spot. He must have been going around and asking everybody, why they're here. I was a broadcast journalism major, so, everyone kind of had an idea they wanted to be in that field. But they kind of said, "Why are you here?" And I looked at him, I said, I want to be the next Ryan Seacrest. He kind of giggled, but it's funny. He kind of looked at me like I was crazy, but I said it confidently.
That you always had that, you've always had that brash confidence.
Right. Yeah, you have to. You gotta wake up every day and know what you want. You can't second guess yourself. So you wake up and you say, I'm going to do this, I am this, I'm going to work, I'm going to make this happen. You got to be confident. If you're not, if you're second guessing your moves, you're not going to go in there 100%, and that's going to show. You got to be confident with every move you make, and that'll basically come out on the other side, right? You put the work in, and hard work brings great rewards.
You see the results.
Exactly.
You definitely see the results.
Yeah.
You're at Hofstra, and you took full advantage of the location of Hofstra.
Yeah.
So you're right there in Hempstead, right on the border of Queens, and it's a straight shot.
Yeah.
Get to Jamaica,
Absolutely.
take Jamaica straight to Penn Station.
Uh-huh.
You took full advantage of that opportunity.
Advantage.
How so?
Full advantage, and that's why I chose Hofstra, because I knew I'd be able to be in the city and be where the action is.
Mm-hmm.
I met with the dean at the time and told him exactly what I wanted to do. He connected me with an alumni actually that made a name for himself in the city here already. He was a blogger. He was covering a lot of red carpets. So I went to him and I told him what I wanted to do and what I wanted to accomplish there in my time at the university. And I did just that. I went into the city. I trailed him. I learned from him. I got to interview John Legend. I got to interview Khloe Kardashian. This was all while I was at Hofstra. Yeah. So I was going
just building that resume.
I was building that resume. So I was going into some of these classes, and people were bringing in, interviews that they were doing with their cousins, and I was walking in with an interview that I got with Khloe Kardashian and John Legend. So I was trying to be always a couple steps ahead.
That speaks to your hustle.
Exactly.
At that point in time.
Absolutely.
In your life.
Mm-hmm. I always wanted to be one step ahead and kind of take that extra step there. So Hofstra allowed me to do just that. Was in the city as much as possible. Snuck into a lot of events. I'll tell you something. It's funny, and I actually was thinking about this the other day. I used to go down to the Mercer Hotel. If I was out in LA, I used to sit at the Beverly Hills Hotel, or, one of the cool restaurants, and just pretend I belonged there. I had no business being there at the time, but I went in there just to kind of feel that energy,
full swagger, full confidence,
feel that energy. Learn from the people around me, kind of smell that success, right? And I was thinking about it the other day. I just got back from LA, and I was out there, and I was at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and I was supposed to be there this go around. So it's just funny because, how
it comes full circle.
How it comes full circle. But yes, to answer your question, I took full advantage of being in the city. Whether it was events, red carpets, these interview opportunities, interning, shaking hands. Are we allowed to curse here?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely, man.
Kissing all the ass, sucking up to everybody I had to suck up to. And it was hard. It was frustrating as hell. I was having a tough time, wondering if this was all going to make sense one day. Yeah. But things are starting to click, finally.
So what do you say to people that always constantly make excuses on why they can't, rather than why they can?
I mean, that's a mentality you got to shape. People come up with excuses because they don't want to put the time in. People want to come up with the excuses because they see it didn't work out for somebody else. People, they don't fully understand, what it takes, and they don't care to learn about how to go about it. But they don't care to study. They don't care to get a mentor. They don't care to ask questions. If it don't come easy, people don't want to put the work in. And I'm guilty of it sometimes. There are days when I wake up and I'm not doing all I could do, or the day goes by and I'm like, man, I could have put a little bit more work in, but that you can't keep that mentality. It's okay to have that some days. You're gonna have your ups and downs, but it's about a mentality. I say to myself, I want to get up every day and do something. I want to lay my head down at night and tell myself and feel confident about it that I did something that day that put me in a better position. Whether it was one email, whether it was one phone call, I want to always go to sleep at night knowing I did at least one thing that set me up better for tomorrow.
Absolutely. What people sometimes don't understand is the success isn't that moment where you got that hosting gig, where you got that show or that modeling act. It's that moment of all the little things that you've done in between that success.
Right.
It's a lot of no sleep. Right. It's a lot of effort. And
absolutely.
A shameless plug here. It's a lot of being active in your dreams.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So what was that first opportunity you got where you said to yourself, this is possible, I have a chance?
Man, it's funny. I started a blog in college called Nickybtv, and it's still kind of my stage name, if you will. It's my Instagram.
I saw it. Yeah.
People didn't fully understand that, but I used to go into bookstores, and if someone was there doing a book signing, I went in there with a little flip camera, and I was getting shout outs from people. I remember it was Maria Menounos and Stephen A. Smith, Terry Crews. Actually, these guys were all kind enough to give me a shout out. Check out nickybtv.com. And I was like, and I would play that over and over again. I was like, I got people. Look, I mean, I went there. I got this
done. That's a big moment.
And I was kind of like, that sounds good coming out of these people's mouths. Right? I was like, oh, more of that. They were shouting me out. They wanted to see me do good.
Yeah.
It was a couple weeks later. Maria Menounos actually, she sent me a DM on Twitter, and she wanted me to be a part of her podcast and kind of her platform that she was launching out in LA. So I remember running my mom, and I was like, I thought I made it right then and there.
We out of here.
We out, Ma. We're good.
Go on, baby.
Right? But but to be honest with you, not much came out of that.
Yeah. And
that just goes to show you, you feel it. It sounds good for a second, but listen, you got a lot more work to do after that. But that was a moment for sure, and early on, and I still have those videos, and I still watch them, where I was like, even my father, I remember looking at me, it's like, you might be able to do something with this. Yeah. But yeah, thinking back, and you're giving me a little bit of the chills here, because I remember going into these bookstores and kind of waiting online and asking these people, nervous, shaking, for like a little shout out. Yeah, because I wanted to build that credibility up, and that's something people don't. You got to take risks. You got to be able to kind of shake that off, that nervousness, that hesitation, right? And you got to go for it. And now when I think back, a lot of those were important pieces to the puzzle. A lot of those were important pieces of the puzzle early on. They stuck with me, and they still do.
The internships you had, all while you were in Hofstra, tell me how that molded you into where you are today and what you learned.
Yeah. So like I said, I was able to get a couple of internships while I was in at Hofstra, and one of them was with this blogger Micah Jesse, and he was kind of the Perez Hilton, if you will, of that time. And he's still in the industry and doing his thing. But I remember logging onto his website and seeing him interviewing all the stars and all these parties, and trailing him, and him allowing me to kind of work some of the red carpets myself. It just, I got very comfortable at an early age. I think I was able to kind of be able to get a lot of those experiences before a lot of others. And I was learning everything from just how to handle myself on a red carpet, how to be on camera, how to interview. I mean, how to, just everything.
Just getting your hours in.
Just get my hours in. And, I'm thankful for that, because that was able to give me a little bit of a head start, I think, once I did graduate and I was looking for a gig, and I was kind of going into these different agencies or these different companies,
When you graduated, was that a scary time for you? Because I know when you graduate college, it's kind of like you have the comfort of knowing, I'm still in college, I can still figure it out. But once you graduate, you have to have it figured out. Yeah. You have to figure out kind of what you want to do. Yeah. How was that transition from college into the real world?
Well, it was a very scary time for me, because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I wasn't going to leave college and someone was going to hand me my own TV show, right? Yeah. So I had to put the time in. I had to continue to shake the hands. I had to continue to, earn my stripes. So, I was waiting tables, and I was just trying to land these gigs where it gave me that flexibility to still be in the city and still, shake those hands and put that time in. So it took me a long time to, land with an agent. It took me a while to get a little commercial gig, or it took a while to kind of see a little bit of that success. There were times where I was like, this may not work out.
Yeah. Tell me about those times. Like, did you ever say, I'm not doing this?
Not out loud. Okay. Not out loud. There were times when I was, wondering to myself if this is ever gonna make sense. And it was scary, because I knew I had something. Yeah. I knew I had the talent. I did. I knew I could go out there. I knew I could entertain. I knew I could go out there. I knew I could, have a presence. I knew I could do it, but I didn't know if people were necessarily believing that at one point. I think I accomplished so much, and I felt a little bit of success while I was in college. I mean, the Hofstra wrote an article in the school paper. I was walking around like I had it all. Like I was going to leave college and have everything kind of lined up for me, and that wasn't the case.
So talk to me about that little voice in your head when it's telling you, you can't do it. Yeah. You can't do it. How do you get past that point?
Yeah. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, but I knew, and I see a quote now. You don't come that far. You don't come as far as to give up.
Turn around.
You don't come as far as to turn around. Why? Why'd you waste all that time? Why'd you put on all those hours to give up now? Why? So it was funny. But there was you see those movies. They got the little devil on your shoulder talking.
Good and bad.
The good and bad, but it took a while for me to kind of get rid of that hesitation, if you will, and get back to the drawing board and
go full steam.
Go full steam. So I was reaching out to people, friends of friends. I had gotten some interview opportunities. So this Nickybtv blog I was telling you about, I was fortunate enough to land some interviews. I had, interviewed a lot of NBA guys, a lot of different, actors and actresses, and I was able to kind of get back into it and get that credibility and get that momentum back. So once I started seeing that,
down.
Oh yeah,
just head down the whole time.
Oh yeah, and I still am. It's funny. I'm just warming up. Still, 8+ years later, again, this divorce court thing has been great. The credibility factor's there. Mm-hmm. It's nice to be on TV and kind of, now be in the union and, you get all these perks and you kind of, I'm in the trailer. I'm feeling good. I'm sitting back. I'm like, this is, look at me.
But it's just the beginning.
I'm at Tyler Perry Studios. Tyler Perry came over and shook my hand. I'm at, down in Atlanta. We're filming down in Atlanta at his studios. And there's been a lot of moments now where I'm like, this feels damn good. I earned this. I'm supposed to be here.
Let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
You said Tyler Perry came and shook your hand.
Yeah.
Coming from where you come from, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Who are some of your mentors that you kind of look towards to navigate through the industry you're in?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people I look up to in the industry, actors and TV personalities. Will Smith's one of my favorite actors, and I always, I wish I could, be just like him one day as far as an actor goes. I mean, he's my favorite follow on Instagram too. That guy's the man. But
he's took over the whole scene rather quick.
Oh yeah.
Quick.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing. Funny story, I'll tell you real quick. But I actually I don't know if you know who Benny Medina is.
Heard the name.
So Benny Medina is one of the most powerful guys in the industry. I mean, he's a manager. He's got his own production company. He's actually behind the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Okay.
Benny Medina now is Jennifer Lopez's manager, who I just landed a meeting with, and it was funny the whole time.
Congratulations!
I appreciate that, man. It was crazy. It was one of the coolest meetings I've had. But it was what was crazy, and I told him, I said, I'm speaking with the Fresh Prince right now. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Will Smith's character is actually based off of Benny Medina. So it was funny sitting there with him the whole time. I was like, great to meet you, Benny Medina, but you're the real Fresh Prince. I had to let him know. But yeah, there's a lot of people I look up to. Obviously to the Jimmy Fallons, the Michael Strahans, the Jason Kennedys of E! News. There's a lot of people I look up to.
What separates them?
I look at a lot of these guys and listen, there are a lot of Michael Strahan, for example. That
made that transition.
He had a great career.
Yeah. He had to be a little talented.
You got to be a little talented, but guys like Jason Kennedy, people like Marie Menounos, there are others that I look up to that have paved the way for themselves, and I appreciate that a little bit more. Not to take anything away from Michael Strahan and there's other guys, but it's a tough road for anybody. But I will tell you somebody who I've developed quite a strong relationship with, and that's Scott Evans. If you haven't heard of him, you will soon. He's the host of Access Hollywood right now, and he's got some exciting news on the way. He's a big time host, and he's doing some big things, doing some real big things. But him and I was just in LA, and him and I sat down, and we had a moment ourselves because we had gotten lunch about a year or so back. He was about to just move out to LA. He didn't really know what his move was, but he was heading out there. He had some experience here in New York, but he was making the move to LA to kind of, try and level up out there. I was still wondering what my next move was. And we met up in LA, actually at the World of Dance set, where he's actually going to be hosting this new season coming up, which is very exciting for him. But we kind of looked at each other and we were like, we're doing something right here.
That's dope.
That's dope. I had landed this meeting with Benny Medina at the same studio, Universal Studios out in LA, and he was hosting the show. And we kind of looked at each other. We didn't know we didn't know we were going to be there together. But we kind of sat there and we were like, wow, this is pretty cool. But, just over a year later, we're sitting here and look at us,
What was the moment where you got your first, we hit on this a little bit before, but what was the moment when you got your first big break to the point where you're in the door?
Yeah. It's funny because I don't think I necessarily had a break. I think I did what I had to do to kind of keep that momentum alive until someone that I needed to noticed. It's funny. Patience. I went out to LA and I used to meet with a lot of people that I didn't know what they could do for me, but I knew they knew other people. I knew that they were doing well themselves. And it's about just staying consistent, staying patient, and I would you pinging people left and right. You're trying to stay relevant, And that's how kind of things fell in place for me. I didn't have representation for the longest time. I don't have I'm not great on paper, but I'll tell you.
Now, you came into the industry. This is just you being headfast and
that's it.
Just, I want to be in this industry.
That's it.
Y'all gonna have to let me in somehow.
Yeah. I mean, people started recognizing me at these events, and wondering who this guy is. People started seeing me on the red carpets with my own flip camera. I befriended so many publicists and so many event planners that I was getting invited to these events without really any credentials, or I was getting credentials kind of under the table. You know, I was doing what I could do to kind of create my own presence, and that stuck with a lot of people because a year or so later, a couple years later, people, when I wasn't there, they were like, "Oh, where's Nicky B at?" Right? So it was funny because I kind of created that myself. I really did.
So that speaks to something that Marcus Damas, founder of Fueled by Culture, says.
My boy.
When you go to sleep and there's no one building off of a relationship that you created, you're not working.
Right.
And you're not doing enough.
Right.
But if you go to sleep and there's someone connecting someone with someone that you put them on with, you're still working.
Right.
And you never sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Speak to that.
Well, a prime example is how this whole divorce court thing came to play.
Talk to me.
I had a friend in LA who was working at Entertainment Tonight, who I've worked with a little bit in the past, and he actually got an email from someone he used to work with, who's now the executive producer at Divorce Court. So, I mean, that's just, it doesn't really get any clearer than that. Let's just say I was asleep, and they were emailing back and forth about me. I woke up to a phone call that said, "Are you interested in this opportunity?" Right. That's how that came into play.
Absolutely, yes.
And you know what I mean? So and that's how I believe that it was all going to kind of click at some point. And again, I'm not saying I'm here and I got it all figured out, but I'm very. It's a good feeling to know that a lot of the connections you made, a lot of the people that you spent time with, that you would buy drinks and buy dinner and travel. I was out in LA with no purpose at times, just sitting there waiting to just run into somebody. I used to sit at Starbucks and wait for someone that I recognized to walk in, and I would go up to him and give him my card. You know how I met Benny Medina?
Talk to me.
And I don't mean to be dropping names like this or anything like that.
It's okay.
But you're making me actually, I have to flex a little bit right now. I'm thinking back, I'm reminiscing a little bit.
That's what we're here
for. For real, it's
we're
funny.
Here to tell the story.
I was walking down the street and I saw Jennifer Lopez, who he's managing, filming a music video. I saw him kind of floating around, and I waited for my opportunity, and I went right up to him, gave him my card, told him I'm a huge fan of everything he's accomplished, because I knew who he was, I knew what he meant to this game and this industry, and I mean, he gave me, I got an email from him the next day, and he appreciated that I took that risk, that I made that effort, and that was about a year and a half ago, and I just met with him last week for the first time.
A lot of the work you've done is, you did it a year ago, you did it 4 years ago, you did it 7 years ago, and it's paying off now.
100%.
So people think it's supposed to happen like that. No.
No.
That relationship you built could happen 4 years from now.
Right.
You just got to stay active in what you're trying to do.
Exactly. And that just goes to the first point I made is people think that this can kind of, and listen, there are circumstances where, and listen, if you can make it happen like that, God bless you, but it takes time. You have to plant your seeds and water these seeds until you.
Well, you can build it. You can build it in the microwave, or you can build it in the oven.
Right.
If you build it in the oven, it's gonna last long.
Right. Absolutely. I'm gonna use that.
You can take it.
I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use
just
that.
Give me. I just when you
that might be an Instagram caption.
Absolutely, but just put dash Trevor.
Got you. Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Yeah, but that's the one thing I think I would like people to walk away with from this podcast today, because people got a weird concept and a weird take on this industry now, and it's definitely gotten easier with the use of social media because you can kind of play your cards a little differently now, but it takes time. Like I said, you need to plant your seeds and take your time watering those. You need to use the oven. You need to do what you need to do to kind of create your own blueprint. And long term, I never expected things to kind of click overnight, but I knew that a certain hand that I shook at one point, I'm going to follow with this person over and over again. It may be a month, it may be 5 years, maybe 8+ years until this comes full circle and comes into play. So it's about patience. It's about consistency. It's about confidence. You need to kind of wake up with those things and be able to, stay level-headed and push forward. You don't want to get too comfortable. You don't want to get too complacent. And you need to kind of create that blueprint for yourself. And you need to look at that every day. Set your goals, push forward, and kind of think bigger picture. A lot of people want quick results. They want to wake up tomorrow and have it all figured out. It does not
Nick,
work
like I said, we live in a microwavable culture.
Exactly.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Let's talk about divorce court a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Judge Lynn.
Yeah.
You said she's a good woman.
She's the best.
And she's teaching you a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about what you've learned from her and the other people on set at divorce court.
Well, she is the best at what she does. Divorce Court has been on, this is the 20th season, so it's been on a long time. It's actually the longest running court show in history. So she's doing something right. She's been on it for, I think, 12 seasons,
Absolutely.
but she knows what she's doing, and she's been such a great woman to work alongside. Yeah. Just seeing her operate day to day, kind of handle the crew and the litigants that come in. These are real people that come in.
And I did not know that because we talked beforehand. And I was like, "That's obviously it's a show."
Right?
And you're like, "Yeah, it's a show, but it's real." I said, "No, it can't be real.
No, it's real."
And you're like, "No, bro, it's a real show. Like these are real
show.
people doing real things and real problems."
Sometimes they're too real. Sometimes I'm sitting back. I'm like, I'm wondering to myself like. This makes no sense. These people, they're some crazy people we deal with, but they're real. They come in with real problems, real issues, and they look to Judge Lynn for some advice. But it's definitely entertainment for sure. I like to say that it's entertainment on the front end, but lessons on the back end.
Were you surprised that this is real when you first got there and you first kind of got involved with the show?
Yeah.
Were you surprised?
I didn't know what to expect off the bat. It took me, and I was like the rookie.
Yeah.
I'm the new guy, so I don't want to ask too many questions. I just want to do what I'm told, earn my stripes. But I was a little surprised. Obviously, look, the producers come in and they hype it up a little bit. They pull the juice out of these issues, and they want to make this a little bit more entertaining than it may be. But these are, like I said, real people, real problems, and it's fun to be a part of. Yeah. It's a great. We film 10 episodes a day, long days, and.
Well, what time do you guys start?
Oh, we get there like 6-7 a.m. We're filming, like I said, down in Atlanta at Tyler Perry Studios. We're there from 7 a.m. Till whenever we wrap. It's long day. They're long days. Long days.
I did not know that.
But listen, it's fun. You could be working doing something else that you don't get a couple of laughs. We get some laughs, right?
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing.
It's a lot of fun.
The reason why I asked you about Judge Lynn because society as a whole is so dominated by males. The males, and we see a strong woman, an African American woman.
Yeah.
On TV every day, and you're telling me you're learning something from her.
Yeah.
And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah. And I tell her that, and I remind her that all the time. I'm so appreciative, not only the opportunity, but kind of how she's guiding me and the advice she's giving me. And, just learning from her, like I said, day to day and being alongside her on this set has just been, it's been more I could ask for because it's just, it's a special bond that we're kind of creating there. I'm a right-hand man now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Has there ever been an awkward situation at the end where you're interviewing?
Yeah. There's been a lot. Look. I've interviewed a lot of talent in my day. So I went from interviewing some, an athlete or a celebrity, not these real people that come in with 19 children, or the people that come in and just found out that they don't have that's not their kid. So it's different for me. It took a little bit of an adjustment period for me to go from, what are you wearing tonight, and how do you feel about this, new shoe line that you're coming out with, as opposed to, I know you just found out that this child is not yours. What's your reaction?
Years.
Right. No, exactly. So sometimes
That's wild.
It's crazy. So, the circumstances have changed a bit, and there's been some awkward experiences. There are women crying. There are guys storming out. It's intense. It gets a little crazy.
Where do you hope?
I gotta send you some clips.
No, absolutely. This is wild.
Yeah.
I swear I did not know this was real.
Oh yeah, it's real.
Until you got it.
It's real.
Tell me, where do you hope to take all this? What's next? What do you want to be next?
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm so appreciative of the opportunity. We're hoping season 21 comes into play in a couple of months. I'll be back in production down in Atlanta filming. So I'm hoping we can continue.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. So I'm looking forward to picking it up with Judge Lynn and kind of building on this fan base and taking advantage of this platform. It's a Fox syndicated show. Like I said, Tyler Perry Studios. It's a real production. So I'm happy with that opportunity, and I hope to continue to build on that. But at the same time, I want to take advantage of that platform and open up some new doors and be able to move forward with that credibility and that momentum.
Now you're down there at Tyler Perry Studios.
Yeah.
You want to be an actor, a full-blown actor. Yeah. You've done modeling. You've done hosting. You're a phenomenal host.
Appreciate you. Yeah.
But now you're trying to tread water in acting and stay active in that dream.
Yeah. Well, I want to attack at all angles.
Yeah.
I don't want to necessarily box myself into one category. People have told me that that's what I'm supposed to do, but I don't necessarily believe in that.
Yeah.
I think that you want to stay open-minded and be have that ammo and have those weapons and ready to fire away at all angles, whether that be hosting or modeling or acting. I've definitely fell more in love with the acting side of things as I'm getting older. I don't know if just that's I don't maybe next week I want to be a host again full time, but for now I just want to continue to learn. I want to continue to kind of gain experience in all different angles and continue to just kind of build a presence anywhere I can. What's
your advice to young people that want to do what you do or anything? Yeah. What's your advice to them staying active in their dream?
That's tough because I can think back to when I was young, 17, 16, even younger. You don't necessarily. A lot of people don't know what they want to do when they get older, and you can't expect them to. But I think if you can take time to set goals, and that's not to say you gotta, I want to be a doctor. Listen, if you know you want to be a doctor at a very young age, good for you, and get to work.
Do that, yeah.
Go and do that. But you can't expect a lot of these young people to have it all figured out right away. So I would encourage people to take the time to at least make steps towards figuring that out. Whether that be just setting some goals, some interests. What are you good at? What excites you? What kind of create those lists so you can get up and get a head start. Mm-hmm. If I could go back in time, if anybody can go back and do things over, they would work a lot harder. Even talking about basketball, I would have been thinking back, I would have been in the gym, before school, and I wouldn't have been chasing girls as much. You
appreciated those moments.
Of course. So I guess what I'm trying to say is take time to understand who you are and what you want out of your life. Mm-hmm. Learn to love yourself and don't worry about pleasing other people as much. Learn to kind of focus on who you are and not care about other people's opinions. I think it's really about self-awareness and growth at a young age. I would tell people to kind of take a step back and kind of become more familiar with themselves before they get unleashed. And I'm just talking about middle school, high school. Because before you get set free to the real world, the real world is a scary place. Once you get set free,
it's a different animal.
It's a different animal.
An absolute
so
beast.
I like to, and I was actually going to reach out to some of my high school teachers and see if I could maybe go back and talk to some of the kids, because I think
that's important.
I think students and kids in high school, middle school, they don't understand the opportunity they have in those buildings, in the school system.
In that moment.
And I'm not talking about math class. Listen, go into math class, go into science class, and do your thing.
But
I'm talking about
what you're saying right now. You networked, you shook hands,
right.
And that's what you start that in elementary school.
Exactly. So yeah, of course, take care of your studies and handle your business. But I'm talking more about studying yourself as well, and learning how learn your math, learn your science, learn your history, but learn about yourself and take advantage of having that kind of foundation there and that support system there. And you're gonna create that momentum. No one says you can't start building that momentum in middle school.
Be around like-minded people.
Right.
People that have the same intentions and goals as you.
Especially with social media now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You could create businesses and you can do things just with social media now, sitting in study hall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just think now it's a different ballgame now than when you and I were in school. But again, what I'm trying to say is I think just you have an opportunity at a young age to take more time, and you have kind of that luxury and that luxury, I'll say, to focus on yourself and learn and kind of get a head start in life.
My last question.
Yeah.
You fail to succeed.
Right.
How do you get through the failure to see the success? Because without failure, you can't succeed.
Right. There's a quote I love. You win or you learn. Mm-hmm. It's simple. Mm-hmm. You're going to lose. You're going to get knocked down. Everybody does. It's how you get up and how you move forward. So, I think you need to embrace those failures. I think you need to failing is good sometimes.
That's good all the time.
It's good, right? You want to if you were gonna coast through life, I mean, come on, it's not gonna happen that way.
Jay-Z, a loss ain't a loss, it's a lesson.
There you go. And it's facts. I mean, you want to be knocked down. You want to embrace those struggles. It's gonna make you stronger. It's gonna make you wiser. And yeah, it's just something you got to expect, and you got to be prepared for it, and you got to understand, you know, the good that can come out of failing and being knocked down. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, but that will make you stronger at the end of the day. And you know, you got to just keep that mentality. You do.
Nick, actor, model, host. I appreciate you.
Fan of Fueled by Culture. Let me tell you guys, man, I can't say it enough. You guys are killing it. I'm just happy to be here.
Really appreciate that. Really appreciate it. This is the first of many.
Yeah,
you'll
man.
have way more. You'll have movies to talk about.
I hope so.
You know, hosting gigs to talk about. So I appreciate you coming down.
Yeah, man, appreciate you.
Let's keep building.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
My man.
Appreciate you.
Peace.
It's either for sure, yeah, we got it. Baby, there's no doubt about it. I've been sitting talking to the stars a lot lately. Tell her what you really want, show her how you really feel. Woke up in this dressing room like I'm the one who got a deal. Never putting on the front, trying to keep it really real. So everyone out fucking with me probably isn't really real. I'm the one to say a lot but never let my feelings spill. Everyone here got a dream, I'm woken up to make it real.